continued this, but the problem is that he was trying to convince everyone that there was not a problem with the statement. His whole career rested on that. Because somebody had pointed out, very convincingly, that this statement makes no sense. Why? Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this statement? Can anybody? Just think about it. Please.
We can't emphasize everything. So we should have like positivism and empiricism, so we can't emphasize everything.
Mm-hmm.
There are things so complex, it's not observed by our empiricist point.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. However, that's not the refutation of this statement, though. But I will tell you that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. We'll get into that more in detail later. There is one major issue with this statement. Anybody else would like to try?
This statement also, can it be verified?
Nice. The very statement itself cannot be empirically verified. Khalas. Habis. Done. That's the end of scientism. Right there. Fun, right? But that's not the only end. In fact, a lot of philosophers tried to still defend this. A.J. Ayer was the last of them, but he failed miserably. There was no way that they could empirically verify the statement. And there was no way they could change the statement that would make it, remove it from its own principle. You can't do it. So it failed based on its own argument. So that was the end of logical positivism, and that was the end of really what we call scientism. Okay? So then came Willard Quine, who died in 2000, and Thomas Kuhn, died in 1996. These men were not English philosophers, they were Americans. Yeah, America. Okay? And they were part of the pragmatist tradition of American philosophy. The only thing I like about America is American philosophy and the pragmatist tradition. And they redefined science from the logical positivist point of view. They redefine it for the rest of generations. Okay? Yes?
Yeah, I want to come back to the statement.
Please.
The verification means the principle. If the principle gives the solution to the problems, it means being verified. Because it is a solution. So when it's a solution, we can use that solution to solve other problems. So the statement is verified based on the principle when it gives the solution.
When it gives a solution. What you're talking about is is almost a form of pragmatism itself. The problem is that the statement itself cannot be verified in and of itself. The statement says very specifically, it has meaning unless it can be verified. Okay? So it's actually saying that it's a meaningless statement because I can't find anything in the real world that can verify the statement. Now, you can say it works, right? You can say that, but that doesn't mean it's true. And I know that sounds strange, and I'm going to tell you why that what I'm saying is correct. Just because something works doesn't necessitate that the principles behind it are correct. Okay? Let me give you an example. All right. How about this? I'll give you a moral example. Maybe this will be correct. I don't know if it'll be an appropriate analogy. I'm just thinking on the top of my head. All right. Unfortunately, brother, I have to punch you in the head. Okay, I'm going to have to hurt you because my ethical standard is that if I just feel like hitting somebody in the face, it's okay. You know. Now, it might work that I can get away with it or that I can punch you in the face, but it doesn't necessitate that what I'm doing is truthful or correct in any way, shape, or form. Is that correct? It's a little bit of a loaded analogy, but I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. Okay? All right. Is there anything true about the fact that when I sit on the chair, it doesn't break? Can anybody tell me, is there anything true about that? When you understand the word truth, right? Okay, if I sit on this chair and it doesn't break, is there anything true about it? Now, if I make a claim about the chair that if I sit on this chair, it will not break. That's a statement. can be true, it can be verified when I go into the action of sitting on the chair. But the fact that the chair works itself, just by itself works, is not an indication of any truth. I have to make a claim about it. I have to have some sort of position about the chair in order for something true to be about the chair. But the chair itself is not there's nothing true about the chair, unless I say something about the chair. Am I getting my point across?
Yeah. I'll argue a little bit about this verification. For example, there is verse in the Quran that says that if you doubt in the Quran, which means if you want to verify the Quran, then find a contradiction or bend a surah like it. If you couldn't, which means Quran is the true. So the Quran be verified by the Quranic challenge. So the statement was a verification for other statements. So once the other statement could not challenge the statement, this means the statement is true. So if we come back to this statement is a verification for other statement. When other statement proved wrong this statement, this statement is wrong,
okay.
But this statement is right.
So let me ask you a question. If I reformat this argument and I say no statement but this one has meaning, maybe empirically verified. Now let me ask you why. Can you answer the question?
Yeah. In that context, it could be. It's not reliable source that we can only be, but there's some statement they're reliable and based on these principles.
Okay, now I'm asking you again. I'm going to ask you, if I say this statement, I would say no statement has meaning except for this one.
So we have to verify this statement.
Unless it's verified. So, but I'm asking you, okay, so if we've excluded the statement itself from its own criteria, then what makes this statement justified?
And not only the statement, for example, if there's a statement, we need to verify the statement. So we need to look at the challenge of the statement. If we could prove the challenge of the statement wrong, then the statement is wrong. If we could not, the statement is right, but what we is challenging, that's wrong.
But what if I say to you that I did challenge? I did, because it's the statement itself cannot fulfill its own challenge.
The source is not reliable because it comes from the man.
Well, yeah, that's true too. But I mean, but what I'm trying to say is that because it doesn't meet its own criteria, it's what we can say informally that this is a hypocritical principle, or it's a self-refuting principle.
Paradoxical?
Paradoxical is different. Paradoxical is something that we can consider illogical, but it's not necessarily contradicting, because there might be some factor that we're not accounting for in this regard. However, because this is a statement, it falls within the very criteria that it's promoting. So because it cannot be verified, therefore it's false, or it's not meaningful. Yeah.
I consider this a suicidal statement.
Suicide, yes, that's a good one. Suicide is haram, by the way. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Okay, so Willard Quine came into the picture. And see, Willard Quine, he had the same objection to this, but he said more. And this is where it gets really fun. Because once we understand what Willard Quine and Thomas Kuhn said, we will understand what science really is and what it really means in today's age. Now, what Ayer and Wittgenstein and Russell were doing before this is that they were making truth reducible to the smallest parts. Okay? So they were making truth reducible to statements, to words, to numbers, to things like this. They were trying to build truth on the most basic principles of logic. All right? The problem is that truth cannot be reducible. And what Quine said was this. He said, you cannot reduce phenomenon to single things or single statements of fact, because we live in a web of knowledge. Okay? We are here, all right? Around us is a world full of context. Full of context. What do I mean by that? I'm going to give you an example to make this more clear. And this is going to be a fun example. Let's see how many things you can come up with, okay? I'm going to give you a statement. Just one statement. I have to fix the lock on my door before I go to work today. Simple. I have to call the locksmith, right? Because my lock is broken. Now, if I ask you why, you're probably going to tell me because I don't want somebody breaking into my house. I ask you why again. I don't want my things stolen. I ask you why again. You see what I'm saying? Keeps going, going. What do you mean by stolen? Why do you value these things? What is value? What is all this? So you can't reduce it. It keeps going and going and going and going because it's contextualized by the world that we live in. A lock. A lock has so many meanings. Believe it or not, we look at a lock on the door and we think, oh, it's just a lock on the door. But think about it. Why do we need locks? So people don't break into our house, right? But why do we care if people break into our house? You laugh, but think